As the search for a new All Blacks coach goes on, folks, there is one guy who now you can take off your shortlist as a potential candidate, and that's Blues coach Vern Cotter, because he has signed with the Reds. After the 2026 season with the Blues, he will be taking over Les Kiss's role, because he's joining the Wallabies. So Vern is going to take over Les's role with the Reds as their coach on a 2-year deal, 2027-2028. Vern is going to be over, like so many other Kiwis, across the ditch doing his thing. So, yeah, it's a bit of a blow in terms of the shortlist for All Blacks candidates. You can only imagine that the Reds, if they had Vern in their sights as one of their potential candidates or as their main candidate, would have been given cause to get a bit of a move on with the All Blacks job potentially on the cards. I've never said Vern is like a first choice guy, but surely he's on the short list as a Kiwi who's got international coaching experience, and up until this contract signing, based in New Zealand, would have made him a relatively kind of easy guy in terms of the contract wise. But nah, the Reds have got their man. So 2-year deal. He's obviously had a pretty big impact on the Blues, winning the title in his first season back in 2024. It was a hell of a season from the Blues, 12 wins and 2 losses. Finished, I think, second overall on the log, but we got to host a final at Eden Park, which we duly won, which was a nice break of a pretty long drought. But the drought started again in 2025. It was a bit of a fall from the 2024 to 2025 seasons, with the Crusaders bouncing back, 6 wins, 8 losses, going out, like just sneaking into the playoffs and going out to eventual champions, the Crusaders, in a semi-final. But yeah, still, I think Vern comes with a pretty good pedigree from his time in France and with Scotland, a little bit less so with Fiji, but literally a Super Rugby winning coach signing for the Reds. So that's a bit of good news. And it has to be a bit of a blow for like New Zealand rugby. Surely, like even if he wasn't top man, even if he wasn't second choice, they would have wanted as many candidates as possible to apply for the job. Surely. The fact that he's taken the Reds job rather than chucking his hat in the ring for the All Blacks, even if it was a long shot, and that doesn't feel like that bodes that well. I mean, maybe New Zealand Rugby have just got their man, and the whole interview process is just a formality anyway. But like I said, the fact that the All Blacks job came up can only have expedited this process. There's no real urgency around getting the Super Rugby coach signed so early and announced, because we're talking ahead of the 2027 season. We haven't even started 2026. There's a big break between the end of the Super Rugby season and the next season starting. So it's a really kind of early appointment. But with the All Blacks job vacant, it's certainly a bit of good business for the Reds to get their man. I'm sure Vern will be 100% focused on the Blues for this season, because as I said, there's a big gap between this year and next year. He'll want to go out on as much of a high as possible. He's talked about, the landscape changing, and, he wanted to help bring in a winning culture and the team maturing and whatnot, but he's basically said, he's proud of his time here, and it's a good moment for both the club and himself to look to the future and part ways after this season. But yeah, I'm sure he'll be remembered fondly by Blues fans. We'll see how this 2026 season goes. I'm optimistic it'll be better than 2025, but we'll see. It's always a bit of a awkward one when, as a player, the coach is not going to be around next year. But anyway, Fozzie had to deal with that with the All Blacks, so far from the first coach to be in that situation. But you guys let us know your thoughts on Vern leaving. What do you think this does with the All Blacks candidacy in terms of the potential coaches? Take care of yourselves. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I will talk to you guys again. So, see you later.